truth for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we've got Bob Savage here with us as well.
Shalom, aloha, everybody.
Hey, how's it going? Feeling any better today, Bob?
Oh, I feel fine. I felt fine for the last week. It's just the voice hasn't been good.
Yeah, your voice actually sounds a lot better today, so that must be on the mend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Can't say the same thing about Bloomberg's campaign these days, but yeah.
No. And in fact, today being White House Wednesday, I don't have a presidential candidate to interview, but I did think that we should discuss Super Tuesday and specifically what this looks like for the Democrats. And as you alluded, Bloomberg is, probably not feeling so great. But let me first tell you guys what Super Tuesday is, because I ran into a bunch of people who are like, what is this Super Tuesday thing? Does it happen the same time every year? Kind of what does this mean? There's like a lot of media centered around it.
How many shopping days left till Super Tuesday?
Yeah. Special discounts at the store. What is Super Tuesday? So in short, Super Tuesday is the primary day for the presidential election that has the most states holding primaries that day. So I know that maybe sounds a little confusing, but essentially it's usually in February or March. And the reason it's not consistent is because every state's Board of Elections determines their election days. So I know some people think, wait, we have national elections, so like it would be the same day, the same time, everything. That's not actually the case. Some states have primaries, some have caucuses, and they're not necessarily on the same dates. So Super Tuesday is the date that the most states share for the primary. So just kind of a little bit of background there. So why is it so important? Because after Super Tuesday, a lot of the delegates are allocated to candidates. And we talked about this a little bit when we talked about the Electoral College, but I'll bring you guys up to speed or kind of refresh you guys on what this means, this whole business of delegates. When you vote in a primary, you're not actually voting for that candidate. You're actually voting for delegates to go to the national convention on behalf of that candidate. So we'll just take some of the Democratic candidates, Joe Biden, Mike Bloomberg, who's that other guy with the crazy hair? Bernie Sanders, that guy.
He's toned that down, by the way. Much less of a much less of a bozo
really
effect. Yep.
Yeah, no, he really has cleaned up. And I think part of that is he knows that to be taken maybe a little bit more seriously, he had to kind of look a little more professional.
Well, he wants to be taken seriously. I think he needs to drop the ridiculous communist bumper sticker phraseology and respect American values as opposed to totalitarian ones. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, and I not only do I agree with that, I think we saw that in the primary results, right? So what happens is the candidates, to get on the ballot for the primary, they actually submit a list of delegates. And when you go to your primary ballot in New York State and you vote for whomever the candidate is, if you're a Democrat, one of the many Democrats who are on the ballot, if you're a Republican, chances are in New York there is going to be a Republican primary. I'm not 100% sure. I know other states did. Bill Weld, I think, is the only person primarying Trump right now. I should know better. There's just not much media around it. Do you know if anybody else is primarying Trump besides
No, I
Bill
think
Weld?
Weld is it, and I think he's got one delegate.
Yeah, yeah, I think that you're probably right on that. I'll look it up during the break to see if we missed anybody. So if you're a Republican and you go to vote in the primary, you'll see Donald Trump's name, Bill Weld's name, and when you cast your vote for one of those candidates, you're not actually casting it for the candidate. You're casting it for a slate of delegates that is going to go to the Republican convention to then vote for who the presidential nominee will be.
The
Same thing if you're. Oh,
primary
go
in
ahead.
New York has been canceled, is it not? I think they just gave all the delegates just to Trump.
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure.
I'll check
each
that.
State does have like different rules.
I think that's right. I think there's no GOP, primary in New York State.
There you go. So it only applies to you then if you're a Democrat. I don't know if the Conservative Party is going to have one. I don't think so. And if you're a registered Libertarian, there's a possibility. But Board of Elections kind of pulled a little interesting stunt this last week and possibly took a bunch of the Libertarian candidates off the presidential primary ballot, leaving only one of them. I know it's going to court this week, so we'll know a little bit more. But essentially, they said that the delegates list that the candidates submitted wasn't received by the date that was required. It was postmarked by the date required. So there's a question of, does it actually have to be in their hands, or does it have to be postmarked by that date? That's what I believe is going to be determined in court. So
Yeah,
maybe Libertarian primary, maybe not.
Yeah, Politico is reporting New York cancels Republican presidential primary. Nobody besides Trump qualified to appear on the ballot.
Interesting.
So
Yeah,
primaries
I wonder
are
if it was the same thing.
Yeah, primaries held only if multiple candidates qualify.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't have a primary of just one person. There is this thing in New York called opportunity to ballot where you could file to still have a primary, and it would be one person's name on the ballot and a space for a write-in. I don't know if that works for presidential, and I also think that you'd have like write-in campaigns like almost never are successful, and trying to run a presidential write-in campaign would be, I don't want to say impossible, but man, the closest thing you could get to impossible, that would be a presidential write-in campaign. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. We are going to talk about the results of Super Tuesday. I don't know if I told you guys when Super Tuesday came about. I kind of told you guys, what it is, but Super Tuesday actually came about in 1976. Just like journalists in the media just started calling it Super Tuesday, and there's no official title like nationally Super Tuesday. It's not like a holiday or a recognized day or anything like that. It's literally what the media called it, and it just kind of picked up, and people generally call it that. Very similar to when we talked about in the previous episode how President's Day isn't actually a real holiday. It's Washington's birthday. But media outlets called it President's Day so they could run sales and do retail things and specials, and it just kind of caught on, and schools and businesses and the general population calls that holiday President's Day when it's really George Washington's birthday.
Isn't it kind of an amalgam of Lincoln's and Washington's birthday? I think Lincoln's is the 12th and Washington's the 22nd, so they kind of picked an arbitrary in-between date?
Yes, that is 100% what happened. I want to say that was like 1968 or something like that. They were like, hey, it would be great. Let's move all these holidays to Mondays. Let's make long weekends, and let's kind of bundle some of these together.
Think of the mattress and car sales we can have.
Yeah, think of that. Yeah, it would be great. All right, guys, we're going to take our first break of the hour. When we come back, we're going to talk about what the results from yesterday mean for the presidential race this year. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
College Assistance Plus has worked with thousands of families, saving them millions of dollars. It can be stressful choosing the right college, but we're here to help. CA Plus will guide you from college visits to college graduation and through every step in between. Each student and family situation is different, and we work to accommodate those specific needs. Call today for a free family meeting, 585-582-1846, or visit collegeassistanceplus.com for more information. College is expensive. College Assistance Plus can help.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and today's White House Wednesday, so we're talking national issues. We are talking about presidential primaries, and Bob was telling me over the break that there was a guy who was constitutionally president for a day.
Yep. Just imagine, Andrew, what would you do if you could be president for one day? What would be the first thing that you would do?
First thing I would do, I would make a list of things to get rid of, like the NFA, probably the war on drugs, and suggest we get rid of federal income tax or something like that. Those are the first few I could think of.
Do anything about the pineapple on pizza or anything like that?
No, you know what? I am one of those people that actually really enjoys pineapple on pineapple and ham pizza.
I love pineapple on pizza. But anyway, we digress here. Yes, somebody actually was president for a day, and it happened this week, 171 years ago. You have to dig this out of the history books, but it is true. And this happened just constitutionally, but it did happen. The 11th president was James K. Polk. The 12th was David Rice Atchison. What? And number 13 was Zachary Taylor. David Rice who, you ask? All right, well, official record shows Zachary Taylor is president 12, not 13. True story. David Rice Atchison from Frogtown, Kentucky, appointed to the U.S. Senate to replace a senator who died. He stayed for 12 years, from 1843 to 1855, during which this happened. President 11, James Polk, was scheduled to step down from office at noon on Sunday, March 4th, 1849. But President-elect Zachary Taylor was a religious man, and he refused to be sworn in on the Sabbath, so he insisted on waiting until the following day. So who would serve as president for 24 hours? Normally, the vice president, right?
Yeah.
But VP George Dallas's term would have expired along with Polk's if he hadn't already resigned as president of the Senate on Friday, March 2nd. The House of Representatives was dismissed, so there was no speaker. Next in line, recently re-elected President Pro Tem of the Senate, David Rice Atchison, who technically became president for 24 hours, although he was never sworn in. When asked what he did on that day, he said, "I went to bed. There have been 2 or 3 busy nights finishing up the work of the Senate, and I slept most of that Sunday." Talk about opportunities missed, right?
Yeah, look at that. So president for a day and slept through most of it.
And
There you
slept
go.
through most of it. So I wonder what the audience would, if there's anybody out there listening, what they do. If you're president for a day, what would be on your short list?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are listening on air, feel free to call in 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Or if you're listening on the live stream on YouTube or Twitter, type in Andrew C. Hollister, click on the live stream, post your comments. If you were president for 24 hours, what's your short list? What would you get done? Or I bet you most people who served as president would probably say, yeah, sleeping sounds like a great idea. I wish I had done that. But
I think all the
yeah.
candidates out there, they're all saying, on day one, here's what I do.
Yep. Yeah, and this guy on day one, he took a nap.
He
Good
slept.
for him.
Yeah, right.
Oh, awesome. So we're talking White House Wednesday. We're talking national politics. We're talking the presidential race. Yesterday was Super Tuesday. I saw somebody here in the live stream asked if there is a Super Thursday. I'm not aware of a Super Thursday. I've heard of Thirsty Thursday, but not Super Thursday.
Well, according to Joe Biden, there's a Super Thursday.
Is there? Oh,
Yeah,
so is that something I missed? Is that
Yeah, I think it was.
he misspeak again?
I think it was Monday. He was at some rally. He said that tomorrow is Super Thursday, and the people behind him were all like cracking up.
Yeah. You gotta wonder how many mistakes are made on purpose versus how many mistakes are truly just mistakes at this point. Like, are they all mistakes? Or you just trying to get some entertainment value out of it? I don't even know.
Oh, I think with Biden, I think they're real.
They're real.
Yeah. I don't think they're staged.
Yeah, could be. I know that when you look at some campaigns, some things are purposely done wrong. But yeah, I think in general, I agree with you. I don't think he's trying to be funny. I think he's just slipping up. Oh, but that brings a question. So Super Tuesday, who won? Obviously, if you're looking at the Republican side, Trump won pretty clean across the board. Somebody said that there was a delegate for Bill Weld. I didn't get a chance to look at that. In terms of Democrats, Biden won the majority, but I believe Bernie still holds the most, even after the Biden win yesterday. Does that sound right to you, Bob?
The same. I think Biden's ahead in delegates, but Bernie's still definitely in the hunt. No question about it.
Yeah. There's still time yet. And Garrett also mentioned that, hey, don't forget, libertarians had some had some primaries, and Jacob Hornberger, who was actually on the show maybe 4 weeks ago, I think you can look up his interview. He won all 3 Super Tuesday Libertarian primaries. So good for him. It was actually a really good and refreshing interview. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to him and some of his thoughts, it was actually pretty good.
All right, so here's the delegate count. 984 delegates are declared. 1991 needed to win the nomination. Looks like Biden's got 462. Bernie's got 393. Elizabeth Warren's got 51. Michael Bloomberg's got 44. Buttigieg is 26. Klobuchar 7. Tulsi Gabbard 1. Andrew Yang, everybody else 0.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 462, 393, then Elizabeth Warren, 51. I think she is toast.
Yeah, and she hasn't dropped out yet, right? She's
She's
still like clinging.
reassessing.
Reassessing. There you go. Yeah, and Bloomberg did drop out. For those who maybe didn't see the headlines, he dropped out. He endorsed Biden, which means more than likely his delegates will switch over their committal to Biden. I think they can do that, right? Or they can only do that if nobody makes it halfway. Do you
I don't
for
know.
sure?
I don't know what the
Yeah,
rule
I'm
is.
not sure.
I don't know how they do things. I think basically they make it up. Anything that it takes to make sure Bernie doesn't get the nomination.
Yeah. And actually, we're going to talk about that later during the show, but I do want to hit on one point that came up, which is Tulsi Gabbard has one delegate. And that actually poses a problem for the Democrats right now. The reason that poses a problem is because by having one delegate, even though it's only one, and you need 1,991 delegates to get the nomination, she currently qualifies to debate. And so there's actually a lot of talk around this as to whether or not she's going to be allowed to debate, or whether or not they're going to change the rules and exclude her from the debates. Because I don't know if you've seen what she's been doing. She hasn't been in the debates, but she is out doing live streams and meeting with voters like all day, every day. Like her thing is like very, very active. You wouldn't know it based on the media coverage. So it would be pretty interesting to see. Her campaign looks like it is still moving forward, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down any, unless she announces sometime soon that she's stepping out. There's going to be a determination that's going to have to be made. Do they change the rules again to exclude her from the debates, or do they allow her to show up?
Yeah, I mean, and you have to wonder what the purpose of that would be, one. And two, what's the purpose of Elizabeth Warren being on the stage at this juncture?
Yeah, I think that, in this situation, the purpose would be to continue to push the other candidates in a specific direction. So I know for Tulsi, like what's really important to her is her anti-war message, and pushing, in that direction, pushing against wars. So I think if she shows up to the debates, if they don't change the rules and she shows up, like she's going to use that opportunity to put forward questions that she thinks are relevant to the debate stage that maybe aren't being addressed, that she thinks the other candidates are bad on, and forcing them to discuss those issues live on national television, especially if they don't want to talk about those issues. And for Elizabeth Warren, I have no idea.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. I'm not sure. The last debate I saw with Elizabeth Warren in it, and I don't know that it was the most recent one. A lot of what she was saying had nothing to do with policy. It wasn't policy driven at all.
It's attacks on Bloomberg, pretty much.
Yeah, just mostly attacks on Bloomberg. So if Bloomberg has dropped out, you got to wonder, okay, where's she going to go next? Is she just going to stay there to kind of gang up on the next person? Is she going to stay there to prop up Biden? Or is she just going to drop out? I don't know.
Well, as we say, as of the airtime today, when we went on the air, she was, quote, reassessing, unquote. And we all know what that's code for. That means I'm looking for a face-saving way to ease over towards the exit.
Yeah, and I think you'll see probably a statement similar to what Lovely Warren, Mayor of Rochester, made today, which was, we need to unite together as a party and support whoever can beat Trump, because that's really been the message from the majority of the Democrats, if not all of them, is this election season's about beating Trump.
Right.
They're not focused on policy.
That's the issue. We got to beat Trump. And to what end? I mean, any thinking person would go. It's amazing to me that the Democrats, who were all poised and primed and ready to just, throw Joe Biden on the ash heap of history 10 days ago, all of a sudden they're all rallying to him.
Yeah, and supporting him, and he's the guy, he's the greatest, we need him. Yeah, no, totally. It's all party tribalism. Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to take a break here on Radio Free New York. We'll be back in a moment.
Now, more than twice the power. More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. The clouds roll in. Slight chance of showers this afternoon. Tonight into tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, and we'll start off the day with temperatures in the 30s. We'll be in the 40s by the afternoon hours with plenty of sunshine and dry conditions. A slight chance of snow showers. That's going to be on Friday. Not looking at a lot of accumulation, but we do have the snow in the forecast. Saturday and Sunday, temperatures will be in the 30s on Saturday, Sunday in the 50s, both days looking at sunshine. This is Samantha LaRocca for WYSL.
Know why everybody's picking Patrick? It's the price. And it's easy. Patrick Buick GMC is the largest, most experienced Buick GMC dealer in Rochester. People have been picking Patrick for over 35 years because all our employees are highly trained professionals. People pick Patrick for our 3,000 five-star reviews with a 97% approval rating. And did you know Patrick has access to over 1,000 Buick and GMC trucks and SUVs? These days, everybody's picking Patrick for our special pricing for educators, GM employees, GM suppliers, military and first responders, even college grads. Plus, all our amazing offers at PatrickBuickGMC.com. Patrick, we are professional grade. Corner of Lehigh Station and West Henrietta Road. See why everybody's picking Patrick Buick GMC in Henrietta. Remember, it's easy to save more at your exclusive SUV and truck dealer.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Sheriff Thomas Doherty would like to remind you that the tip hotline is available by phone or by internet. The hotline is an effort to elicit information from concerned citizens about illegal activity occurring in the county. Citizens are able to call with confidential information in a continued effort to fight crime in Livingston County. Anyone wanting to report information or provide tips are urged to call 585-243-7581 and leave as much precise information as possible, or use the form provided on the Sheriff's Office website, www.livingstoncounty.us. Select Departments and then select Sheriff's Office. If you are willing to identify yourself, the information will remain confidential and made only available to sheriff's investigators or local police agency when necessary. Again, all information will remain confidential. You can also follow us on Facebook at Livingston LCSO or Livingston County Sheriff's Office page. We are also on Twitter, LCSO at LCSONY911. These tools will be utilized to make our communities in Livingston County a safer place to live.
At Genesee Community College, student success is at the center of everything we do. And that's one of the reasons that we switched to Tompkins Bank of Cast Isle. They're stable, consistent, and local. Their direct support helps us to provide better facilities and support to our students. And Tompkins Insurance protects our buildings, grounds, and vehicles. And we're proud that some of our alumni are working at Tompkins.
Tompkins Bank of Cast Isle and Tompkins Insurance Agencies. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
It's time to smile again. Our patients at Liberty Dental are raving about their smiles and wish they had done this earlier. With our dental implants, you can walk out of the office with a new shiny smile that you've always wanted. Schedule your free consultation at Liberty Dental and see how easy and affordable it is to smile again. Call 434-2090 and schedule your free consultation today. Most insurance is accepted and now accepting Medicaid. Liberty Dental, West Ridge Road, Greece, next to Ridgemont Wegmans. Liberty Dental. Get your smile today. 434-2090.
Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. It's White House Wednesday. We're talking about Super Tuesday. We're talking about what all that means, what the presidential race might look like. And before we went to break, we were talking about how Tulsi Gabbard actually has one delegate, which means they might have to let her debate according to the current rules, and they probably don't want that. So if they don't want that, they're going to have to change their rules, which the Democratic Party, I don't think, has a problem with doing. I think they will do that, and if Bernie catches up to Biden and surpasses him, you might see something like that happen if he doesn't get the majority. One thing I did want to bring up, though, about this whole debate thing, it's kind of highlighted by Tulsi getting one delegate, but this has been going on for a long time, especially in New York State, where candidates don't get the opportunity to participate in debates, even if they're on the ballot. And that's something that I think is important to bring up, something important to talk about. I'm, of course, really sensitive to it because when I've ran campaigns in the past, the media would essentially ignore our candidacy, even if there was a small number of candidates. You know, you're talking 4 or 5 candidates total, and the media would only allow candidates to debate who are usually Republican or Democrat, and simply just ignored all the other candidates. We actually have this happening in Buffalo right now in a congressional race, and the media's like, well, the candidates probably don't meet our rules and requirements for the debate. And when the candidates say, okay, well, what are the requirements? We weren't told there were any. They say, we don't actually know what the requirements are. We just know you don't meet them. So that I thought was worth mentioning and highlighting and talking about. The media has really made it so that the voters aren't allowed to be fully informed, which, to be honest, if we talk about this, we know that the media isn't interested in informed voters. They're interested in advertising dollars, and they're interested in their narrative and how they want the story to be portrayed, and they don't want to allow people in who might change that perception. So people being excluded from debates is not a new thing. It happens every election cycle. It's happening right now with the special election out in Buffalo way in Western New York. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens with this.
Is that the 27th congressional district?
That is the 27th. Yeah. Yep. And I know Dwayne Whitmer's running, and of course they're currently suing him to try to get him off of the ballot so that they don't have to worry about running against him. I'll probably have an update on what that looks like next week after it goes to court and how it's ruled. But once again, I wanted to make sure that we talk about that because it's something that if nobody on the media is talking about it, kind of nobody's talking about it. So those are things I like to just, bring up, make sure people are aware that when you go to the ballot, you might be surprised. You might see names on your ballot that you've never heard of before. And if you're sitting there questioning, why didn't I know about this candidate? Were they not out there working hard? Did they not reach me? Why didn't they attend the debates? Chances are pretty good the media excluded them from the debates.
They were blocked, or the party excluded them.
Yeah, no, that's true too. And they'll come up with really arbitrary values to try to cut out the people they don't want you hearing from. So they'll go and say, okay, this person's platform's pretty good. None of us want to adopt this platform because it would be bad for us, And so they'd sit there and go, okay, what can we do? Hey, I raised $100,000. You raised $100,000. They only raised $50,000. There's no way they're going to hit $80,000 by the time the debate starts. So let's just say in order to be included in the debate, you have to raise $80,000 because if you raise $79,000 or less, you're just not a serious candidate and nobody wants to hear your platform.
Yeah, we call this the Bernie Sanders effect. That's kind of what happened in 2016 to Bernie at the Democratic Convention.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this has been going on for a very long time. It's not specific to presidential elections. It happens in local elections, congressional district, Senate, Assembly. Happens all the time in New York, all the way down to city council races, all the way up to governorship. Happens very often. So just want to, kind of shed some light on that, make sure I mention it. Now what I want to do is give you guys a little bit of uh, some information about what we saw with Super Tuesday, because I think a lot of people thought Bernie was going to pull ahead, and that didn't happen. And I want to talk about why that didn't happen, because it's important for people to know, just in general, how our elections work, how voter turnout works, that sort of thing. Bernie actually had a lot of support, a ton of support. I mean, we saw it rallies, you saw support in the media, you saw a lot of online support, probably well beyond what any of the other candidates had. But guess what happened? Not enough young voters turned out to vote for him. So that's a problem. If you can't transfer your energy in your base from getting off the internet, and he even had people showing up to rallies, but they didn't show up to vote. That's a serious issue. Now, that could be people didn't know what the primary dates were, and they just think it's going to be in November, which I've seen many times happen in New York State. People not know about the primary, or what's worse, they show up to vote in the primary, think they're done, and they don't show up in November. So like a big voter education gap. But also what was really interesting, and I think worth pointing out, was more young voters showed up to vote in the primaries this year than they did in 2016. So more young voters did show up. However, they showed up at a lower rate. What does that mean? That means older people showed up in more force, basically. More of them percentage-wise showed up. So more older voters also showed up at a much higher rate. So why do I say all this? I say it because what that tells us is, although more younger voters came out to vote, older voters were much more motivated to vote than the younger voters were.
It's interesting because Sanders has this huge following of young people. So I would think that they would be highly motivated to vote for him.
Yeah, and that's I think why he lost, because these young people who seem highly motivated weren't motivated enough to go out and vote, or it could be their first time voting and they didn't know the importance of a primary or how that worked, or any number of things. But I think this is like the understanding of translating positive energy into people showing up to vote, I think is a problem the Sanders campaign has. I think that's like a huge problem, and if they don't figure out how to address it, they are not going to be getting the nomination.
And that was this seems to be a characteristic of this demographic, because we've seen this before. We saw this with Barack Obama, where they didn't show up to vote for Barack in the numbers that were expected.
Yeah, and I think that this is just I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know if I kind of wonder if it's because everything else you can do in life, you can do on the internet and you can do with your phone. So a call to action for 99% of what you do in life, everything from paying your water bill, paying your rent, paying your mortgage, your car payment, almost everything you can do without ever having to step out of your home. Very few things you need. I mean, a lot of people even work from home now. So and you can order food to your home, like groceries to your home.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the only thing you really need to leave the house for is to put gas in your car. But if you're not leaving your house, you don't need gas in your car.
Well, that's also the trend. You see this in sit-down restaurants. Increasingly, these chain restaurants are shrinking the dining areas, and they're increasing the waiting areas for people to come and pick up meals to go. Because look, I mean, you can get the cinema experience at home now. You have a 4K giant 65-inch TV with surround sound, so you can get the cinema experience right there, and you can bring in the food and just have dinner and a movie right there in the comfort of your own home, and not have to go anywhere.
No, absolutely. And the other thing that we see is you don't have to go shopping anymore. I mean, you can get Amazon second-day Prime delivery on almost anything, including clothes. You don't even have to clothes shop anymore. So I do wonder if that is translating to younger people coming out at lower percentages because they have to physically be there. All right, guys, we're going to take our last break of the hour. We will be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We're talking about Super Tuesday results, what that means, kind of some of the stuff centered around there. And one thing that I think is worth pointing out is it appears that money doesn't buy these elections. And
how about that?
Yeah. So that I thought was interesting. I mean, you look at Bloomberg and what he spent, and Trump, of course, tweeted out calling Bloomberg the biggest loser, which, in typical Trump form.
Yeah, $500 million. How long was Bloomberg in? A month?
I thought it was 3 months, but it is a very short time for sure. So he spent a lot in a very short period of time, and a lot of people pointed to his ad buys and his spend as his way of trying to buy the process, buy the win. And we always talk about how money in politics does make a difference, but in this situation, it didn't make enough of a difference. And I would say that his money probably bought his way into the debates, but I don't know. I don't know if it's because he entered so late, or what. I mean, what do you think, Bob? Why do you think? Do you think it's just the voters didn't resonate with his message? I mean, when you look at the other candidates, it's kind of questionable, I guess.
Well, I think he's an intensely dislikable guy. There's no charisma there. He doesn't he doesn't radiate a positive message. He has kind of a punitive, authoritarian kind of demeanor about him. He's kind of got that Hillary disease, unlikability. I think that's the major factor.
Yeah, and one of the things I wondered if it was a problem for him that many of the other candidates just painted him as the Trump of the Democratic Party, and they've spent the last 4 years saying Trump is evil, here's all the bad stuff about Trump. Hey, Bloomberg's Trump, and I didn't know if that was part of the issue. To be honest, I didn't hear much about his platform either. Like I saw that he spent a lot of money on ads, but for what he spent, I didn't see a lot of content.
Well, here's the thing. You've got a party, the Democrat Party, and essentially their message to the electorate is envy and greed. It's all about how you're not getting what you want out of life because of rich people, because of, billionaires, as Bernie Sanders would say. So how do you turn around and market Michael Bloomberg to the electorate? That's a tough sell.
Yeah. Although I mean it is funny because the top runners for the Democratic primary are all extremely wealthy individuals who are definitely one percenters. I don't know. Is there anybody on the stage who wasn't? So for the party who is pushing really hard at the enemy being old white men who are rich, they seem to be running and electing a lot of rich old white guys.
Right, exactly. There's a cognitive dissonance going on there. And then even Bernie Sanders. I mean, it's been pointed out repeatedly. How many people have got 3 houses?
Yeah, and 3 big, nice mansion-esque houses too.
Yeah,
not $15,000 houses in the city.
Yeah, he tried to characterize one of them as a summer camp until somebody published some pictures of it.
Yeah, I do see at least one positive thing out of the results though, and this could be me just like prying and grasping and stuff. But I think a positive is, people in the Democratic Party did not choose socialism, at least not yet, right? And I think though that there's another thing for us to look at and another thing to talk about that's not positive, and that is what is winning these elections. And I think especially when it comes down to delegate choices, if somebody doesn't have the majority, I think the answer is going to be political promises. And I think that you could even make that argument now because you see candidates dropping out of the race, pledging their support to Biden, telling their supporters, go rally behind Biden. And what I think we're seeing is backdoor deals being made. Hey, endorse me, you're going to get something for it. And I think that what we're seeing is that's what's going to win this election.
Yeah, I wonder what the price of admission was to persuade some of these candidates to drop out when they did.
Yeah.
What were they promised by the party?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you saw what Biden said about Beto the other day, which is Beto's going to be the running his firearms policy and his Second Amendment policy. And
that's great. I love that. Bring it on.
Yeah. So the guy who's like, yeah, we're coming for your AR-15s. We're going to come confiscate your guns. Biden is now promoting, saying, hey, this is my guy. This is the guy who's going to be handling Second Amendment policy for me. That to me, I mean, that kind of seems like there was a political favor going on there.
Trump made an offhand comment in, characteristic Trump style at one of his rallies to the effect that, Joe Biden is going to be in a home somewhere. And the policy, the presidency and his administration is going to be run by these left-wing zealots. There's a lot to that. I mean, I don't know about literally Joe Biden being in a home, but I mean, figuratively, he very well could be. I mean, he could, and when it comes to policy, I have not heard Joe Biden enunciate one single cogent, identifiable, policy piece that you could say this is what he stands for. Nobody knows what Joe Biden stands for other than defeating Trump. So I think there's a lot to what Trump says. I think he could be sidelined, and then the policy wonks in his administration will run things.
Yeah, and I think for Democrat voters too, and I'm projecting my assumptions here because I'm not a Democrat, and so clearly I'm not a Democrat voter. But I am somebody who's an independent, and I try to look at things fairly and evenly across the board. And what I think the appeal is to many Democrats who, you're right, I mean, what is his policy? He hasn't articulated it well and clear at all. I think a lot of Democratic voters are just nostalgic about he was Obama's vice president. And they look at Joe Biden, they think Obama, and I think that's why he's rising to the top. And I think that they probably project his vice presidency as experience, which technically is true, right? We could debate whether or not it was good experience and whether or not,
two-edged sword there, no question about it. I mean, he's there for what, a generation in Congress and in the Senate, and what did he ever accomplish?
Yeah. So exactly. The question is like, is it good experience? Is it bad experience? But when I talk to Democrat voters, especially those who are terribly opposed to term limits, I mean, they want to fight it tooth and nail. They always kind of come back to the same argument that, well, we need people that have really good experience, who know the job and understand how the system works and have been in it for a long time. So I think for those voters who are like, no, we need somebody with experience and understand the system, never mind how bad, corrupt, and awful the system is, but those people that feel that way, I think, do gravitate to Biden because they look at him as being there for a long time with experience in the vice presidency.
Yeah, well, I mean, so you're in Biden's position. You're not necessarily Biden, but you're in his position. You've got years and years and years you've put in, and your argument is that things are totally screwed up. So what we have to have is change. And so, I mean, that's a dangerous line of reasoning to follow, because how did we get where we are?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think this could be said about almost all candidates who run for presidential office, right? And even the candidates who are running for Congress again. Many of these people have spent decades in control, decades, whether as a part of Congress or some other executive position, or maybe appointed positions or whatever. And they're saying, yeah, things are broken, things are bad, I'm going to fix them. And you sit there and you go, well, who's been running this thing the whole time when things are bad and we've spent too much and healthcare's crumbling and education's having trouble? Oh, you. So now somehow today that's going to be different. It's not going to be different.
And we haven't even gotten into the influence peddling. And that's another ticking time bomb awaiting Joe Biden. Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. I mean, we do have a Ukrainian investigation underway officially.
Yeah. How ironic would that be if Joe Biden actually became president and then got impeached over that? I mean, that would just be irony to I don't even know what magnitude. All right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow.
At last, education for your